Nightdive Studios wanted to remaster iconic Nintendo 64 game. So this is an article I definitely wanted to do and kind of make a video on because of the fact that they're talking about a 64 game that I really love and appreciate. And that 64 game is none other than GoldenEye 007. So 007 GoldenEye is definitely one of those games that I enjoyed so much as a kid because of the fact that, being someone that grew up with a Nintendo 64 and everything like that, that was one of those games. Being able to play that game when I was younger was such a mind blow to me because of the fact that it was very innovative as far as first person shooters and everything like that goes. So the fact that so this information had came out in regards to the potential of wanting to do a remaster, I thought that would have been really cool to see. And the fact that we didn't get it, I feel like is really unfortunate. So, per usual, I'm gonna go ahead and go over the article here, and then just read through the information and give my thoughts as we go along, so we can see what exactly happened in regards to this game. So, Night Dive Studios has recently confirmed its previous plans to remaster one of the Nintendo 64's most iconic games. Unfortunately, after a confidence pitch, the team's plans were shot down in flames. As Nintendo's fifth generation console, a successor to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the Nintendo 64 housed a plethora of unforgettable games, including the launch title Super Mario 64 and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, one of my favorites. And yeah, definitely the 64 is in my top three favorite consoles of all time. For me personally, it's gotta go the Nintendo GameCube just because I love so many of the games on that, and I have so many fond memories of that console itself. The PlayStation 2, just because that was one of the ones that I kinda played a little bit later on, but there still are so many great games on it that it really just it grabbed my interest for sure. And then the Nintendo 64. And I feel like the Nintendo 64, because of the fact that there were so many games that were fun to play, not just by yourself, but that you can play with other people, which definitely, has a lot of memories that I ended up holding as I've gotten older, which is really cool from that perspective. And then we'll go ahead and continue on. So, based in Vancouver, Washington, and founded by Steven and Alex Kick, Night Drive Studios is known for securing the rights to abandonware video games, remastering them, and re releasing projects for modern consoles. One talking point from the studio's recent concern, Night Dive's complicated development remastering System Shock 3, explaining that the game's future is currently uncertain. Now, I never played System Shock 3, but from what I've heard from other games that they've worked on and everything like that, Night Dive is definitely a studio that does stay true to what they remaster, and they are able to kind of keep that same feel and that heart that goes with those games that were original. So hearing that they were in the talks to kind of make something happen with GoldenEye 007, I thought that would have been really cool to see, and it's really unfortunate that that wasn't able to be the case. And we're going to find out why right here in a second. But yeah, just the fact that there was potential for that to actually come to fruition and to get a remaster of it, I feel like that would have been so cool. Now, obviously, we got like, PC mods and everything with a lot of like decompilations that can happen with 64 games nowadays. So, there is, the ability to kind of upscale and all that type of stuff. But the fact that there could have been like an official remaster of it, I feel like that would have been really cool to see. So, in an interview with VGC, Night Dive's head Kick revealed the team had devised a solid plan to remaster the acclaimed GoldenEye 007. But after pitching to Nintendo, the publisher said, yeah, no third parties ever going to touch any Nintendo stuff ever. And the team failed to gain permission. GoldenEye 007 is one of the most influential FPS games worth playing for its importance to the genre, joining the original Doom, Half-Life, and Wolfenstein 3D, and Night Dive even had James Bond rights owner MGM and Eon on board for the remaster's development. Kick explained Nintendo's reasoning was kind of minimal, which was a major blow for Night Dive considering the team put a lot of effort into the pitch. And that is really unfortunate that that was the case for them. And like I said, the fact that, it seemed like they really do have love and care for the IPs that they work on is really unfortunate. And I feel like it leaves kind of like a lot of, like, they messed, like, I feel like Nintendo almost kind of messed up in that regard. And I'm kind of wondering if they realized that they kind of had the potential to make something really good with them with that studio, or if they're kind of standing by their decision because they felt like, we weren't going to do anything and we didn't want to do anything. And the reasoning behind it is also pretty weird. The fact that they're saying that there's going to be no third parties ever touching a Nintendo stuff ever, considering that you look at like modern day systems where like the Switch 2 is going to be coming out, and one of the key selling points is the fact that it's gonna have so many, third party games on it and everything like that. So obviously, Nintendo's been able to kind of grow and everything. But because they had that original mindset, it really did kind of leave it so that there was, a potential 007 game that could have been really good that ended up getting kind of missed, which in when you look at it in hindsight, which is just something that really sucks, especially for someone like myself, like I said, who was such a big fan of the original game. But it is what it is. So GoldenEye 007 joins the Nintendo Switch catalog of Nintendo 64 games, and during the publisher's recent direct showcase covering the successor console, it was confirmed that the Nintendo 64 game will be getting new features on the Switch 2 when it launches on June 5th, 2025, including customizable button mapping, a rewind option, and retro filter. 007 GoldenEye was first released in 1997, developed by Rare and published by Nintendo, and the story was based on the 1995 James Bond film of the same name. Players take part in a series of levels to take down the enemies and complete objectives, and a multiplayer mode allowed up to 4 players to enter into deathmatch scenarios. And that's just, again, when you look at all this information, you're like, Nintendo, you sons of bitches. You know what I mean? It's really unfortunate because one of the main key features that was able to kind of make 007 so amazing, other than just the really good gameplay, was the multiplayer mode. Because when you got to play that with, friends or family, it was one of those things you can get stuck on that for hours, just going through the different levels and just kind of battling each other in deathmatch scenarios, which was really fun. And that was one of the cool things about the game that was so amazing, was the fact that it was very innovative, but something that you can play by yourself or with other people, and you were able to still get a really good and fun experience from both. So the fact that they kind of took that away is really unfortunate, especially considering that with, modern day gaming and everything like that. I think it would be really cool to be able to actually have it so that you could do, like, let's say like a multiplayer with other people online, where you have it like 4v4, and you're playing with other people, but you're actually going to be playing with other people that have the game as well. I feel like there would be a lot of potential for that to be really good, as well as the fact for anyone that didn't know, when they made the game originally, they had it so that you could play as different Bonds other than just Pierce Brosnan. So you could do, I think it was uh Sean Connery, there was, I think, Timothy Dalton, and then one other one that you could play as, but they had to take that out of the game originally because there was a rights issue. And I feel like with, them doing a remaster, there could have been potential for them to actually get the rights to that and to be able to actually have it so you could play as those other characters, which I thought would have been really cool. But you know what I mean? It is what it is. And then the studio's plate is never empty, that's for certain, as Nightdive wants to remaster Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 games in the future, and the team has been asking gamers for their input on which titles to revive. The studio has remade Turok 3, Star Wars Dark Forces, The Thing, Quake 2, and much more to date, and some of the community requests for remasters including Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, The Darkness, and Yakuza Dead Souls. So yeah, I mean, they from what I've heard, the some of the remakes that they've done with some of those other games have come out really well. So again, it is unfortunate that, because of Nintendo deciding to not move forward with it, we did miss out on something that could have been really great. But it is what it is. Fuck you, Nintendo. I'm just like, but yeah, no, the fact that didn't happen is kind of unfortunate. But I feel like there is, who knows, there probably will be potential to kind of see something a little bit later down the line as far as like a remaster or a remake of the game, which I feel like could be really something fun to play as well, like the older version. But we'll just have to wait and see what time, see how that goes. But yeah, man, just wanted to give my information just because I love this game so much, and hearing that this could have been a thing is just, it's it's really cool to hear, but it is unfortunate that it just never came to fruition. So those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Is there any 007 fans of GoldenEye out there that really would have liked to seen this come to light? Or, do you feel like Nintendo was kind of in their own right to kind of decide to let this go any further? So if you guys can let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. If you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys have been watching this long, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, I'm Monik out. Peace.